Welcome back to another episode of Fighting Words. Just two dads talking about the UFC, and I'm joined by my awesome co-host Tyrell Payton. What's going on, man?
What's up, bro?
Hey,
What's up, man?
UFC 307 in the books. We got a lot to talk about, and I will be honest. I wanted to ask you before we dive into the fight breakdowns. Well, actually, before I get to anything else, you guys are watching, listening. Why don't you go hit that subscribe button? Go drop us a like. Add us to your good old YouTube feeds. We appreciate it. So I had to do the channel plug before we got into things, but
Love it. Love
um,
it.
yeah. So I wanted to ask you before we got into every little thing about the fight card and the main card. What would you give the grade on this card? Because I have a little bit of a spicier take on things for this card, and I wanted to know how you felt about the card, just the main card overall. Just like how'd you feel? Thoughts and feelings about it.
Are you talking about like A to F or
Yeah,
one to
A to F.
10?
That's what I was
Okay,
gonna
A to F.
do. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, first, let me say this. I love that you're coming to me for my expert opinion because I went 5 for 5 on the main card.
he was he was he was
Respect the guys
perfect.
when they do it.
Clean sheets, clean cheeks, folks.
Clean
Yeah,
sheet.
can't
Um,
hate that.
no vibes picks over here. You know what I'm saying? If you want the real
Hey,
deal picks, you come to me. If you want the
I,
vibes, you go to Ian. Anyway,
I have four for five. Disrespectful.
was it 4 for 5?
Yeah, I was 4 for 5. The only one we disagreed on was Ketlin Vieira and Kayla Harrison.
Okay, okay. Um, anyway, what I'll say is, I think the card was pretty good. If I'm looking for like the thrilling fights, I didn't get that. So I think that the main event was excellent. I think beyond that, I'm gonna say the card was a C. I'll give it a
Yeah,
C, C minus. I don't think better than that, man. Most of the fights were kind of like to me.
yeah.
I don't know,
That's
entertaining.
I would go as far as to say that it's a solid C minus for me. I think the card is saved by the main fight,
Oh
and
my
I feel like we've
gosh.
had we saved by the main event. I feel like we've had a couple of fights, or not fight cards like Islam Makachev, Dustin Poirier fight card. I forget what that was, what pay per view that was. That was a rough one to watch. Besides the main event, um, even the start of the year with Sean Strickland and Drix Du Plessis, like that was the only banger on that card. Maybe I'm missing maybe one fight or so, but yeah, I mean, I agree with you. A solid C minus. I didn't really feel like it was exciting. I have a little bit of opinions that I'm disagreeing with some of the MMA crowd that we can talk about with some of the card fights that were earlier on in the card, but we should dive into the main event. That was the Lord and Savior Alex Pereira, just overcoming a lot of adversity, which I know he was injured in this fight, so like that even makes it more like, oh, nice, like he's like legit. I just don't think there's anybody in MMA right now that's as fun and exciting to watch as him. Like currently in the UFC right now, not a single
Yeah,
person, not a
no,
single person's close.
it's everything
And
about him too. His aura,
yeah,
everything. Yeah,
yeah, because he has the iconic face-offs with every single person. I mean, I thought it was just going to be this one-off thing with Yuri because Yuri is such like a warrior. It's like nope, Khalil brought that intensity too, and you could tell he believed in himself from the moment he walked into that cage till they had to take him out of there. And but then Alex is just like he's always locked in, and his walkouts are, even though they're like predictable at this point, like we've
it
seen
don't
him
matter.
a ton, it
It
doesn't
don't
matter.
matter.
It's amazing.
Yo, it kind of gave me Goldberg vibes when he's walking out the back and they were showing the back footage camera. It was kind of like Goldberg, bro. Like when he's coming out, I'm like, this is hard. This one's hard, man. It
Yeah,
really is.
yeah, they both had great walkout music too. I mean,
They did.
like the Khalil walkout to good old outlaw Josie Wales was fantastic.
Yeah.
It's disappointing that Khalil couldn't get it done. I did not pick the vibes pick, but I was rooting for him, the big
Me
time
too.
underdog, just to
I
see
was too.
like I mean, and for viewers that have not seen the result, where have you been? But Alex Pereira did get a TKO at round four, right at the end of round four, and it was just a bloody, brutal mess. I mean, he was
Oh my
just busted
gosh.
up. Um, I will say two things I wanted to take away from this fight. The first thing being is that Khalil deserves to be in the top five. I think he's clearly made that his home, and I really like. I think the only fight for him next is Jamal Hill. Like, I don't think Jamal Hill gets that fight. I think he was very disrespectful to Alex post fight. Like, what?
Being corny, like
That's what I was just about to say. Like,
you
what are we
cornball,
doing?
bro. You see Alex's response? I love it,
Yeah,
bro. I
yeah,
love
yeah.
it.
He must have just been waking up after UFC through nothing.
That's
Like,
just so corny, bro. Like,
excellent clap back. Yeah, I really liked Khalil and him to fight once Khalil gets stitched back up, and I know he's had surgery. I mean, the man got just absolutely cut open.
yeah,
And with that also being said, I mean, he was up in the fight. I mean, I was
yeah.
scoring it. It was at least 2-1
2-1.
going into the fourth, and I think if he would have made it out, obviously it would have been. I think that would have been a 10-8 round. So
Oh yeah, yeah.
it would have probably swung into Alex's favor, but I just I think the we could see Khalil was struggling with the range and getting in to find his shots because the dude was just not as tall as him. Like that's tough.
It's like a
Um,
3 inch reach advantage, and
but
yeah,
there was this like weird like, hey, at any point like Khalil
he
touches
has to
you,
snap.
it's night night. I mean, he's clearly the guy has buttoned up his striking, and like
He's so fast.
I know, I know, and I don't think it was fatigue that got him. I don't think it was anything. I think it was just
Leg kicks.
simply, well, yeah, yeah. I'm sure
Him
that
eating
took the
that leg
gas
up,
out of it.
bro.
Yeah, I mean, it took the gas out of his explosivity, but I think that just happens over the fight time. I don't. It didn't seem like he was as bogged down as the commentary was making it to be, and maybe I was missing something, but I just thought that Alex was just. I mean, the jab was there all day for him, and then because he stuck behind it, he was able to really just do anything to him, especially in the later rounds. So, I mean, credit to Khalil. But the second thing I want to take away is that Alex is making a true name for himself, and I think he's starting to overshadow some of the people that were in front of him, i.e., the Izzies, the Volks, the Camaros, the ones that are active in defending. He's joining those ranks, and he's doing it more exciting and more emphatically. And that's the big thing there is the UFC can ride that. I really don't think anyone at light heavyweight at this point can beat him. I think that there's a reason that Magomed Ankalaev um, is not up there and fighting him right now because he took that man Jan Blachowicz to a draw. And I'll say what you will about anything, but Alex beat him in 3 rounds definitively. Like that's that's a pretty big deal. And I think people are very dismissive of that. And I know MMA math, what have you be, but like I think obviously Alex is what 36 now, so he's getting a little
Yeah.
older. But like, the party is here to keep riding until it gets stopped. And I, unless he tries to make a bid towards heavyweight, I don't really see the ride being stopped. So, I'm
Yeah.
kudos to Alex, kudos to Khalil. It was an awesome fight. Surprised, definitely saved the card. So, love to hear more what you think about the main event, though.
Yeah, man. Very fun fight. Great striking by both. Khalil's tough as nails, man. I know he came in with a little bit of a pre-existing cut or injury on the nose, so it just got worse as the fight went on. That eye was disgusting too, but I mean, he's just very tough and durable. And Alex's striking is just so elite, man. It's
Mm-hmm.
just he is just like there was like exchanges where like he was just like weaving just out of reach of Khalil's punches, but then deliver the strikes right back, and it's like he was standing in the pocket and doing that. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, this guy is he's insane. Like he's getting into like he was getting into this flow state, and like Khalil was landing punches and kicks, and Alex didn't wear any of it, bro. I don't know if his hands are the only thing that were stone. His face may be stone, bro. Like he didn't wear anything from
Yeah.
that. And one thing I'll say, like for future fights, I feel like Khalil, obviously top five in the division type guy. I love how Dana White has always been a supporter of Khalil, but
Me too.
now like he's always backed Khalil and saw something in him. And I'm glad he gave him this opportunity because I let the world see it. And I think his fan base just grew tremendously from this fight.
Oh,
The way the reception after the fight when he stood up, people started cheering so loud for him. Like people, and it's because he held his word too. He didn't shoot one time. He said, "I'm here to give y'all a great fight." He just a really good dude, and I think that he's going to be back in there again for another title shot probably soon because I think he can beat most of those guys up top. He's that talented, man. And most of those guys they're not going to be able to wrestle him anyway. I don't think they're going to get him down. Um, and the last thing I'll say before we move on is, as good as Alex is, I would like to see the Jamal Hill fight at some point again. I do, because I do think some weird distant stuff happened. And he cracked him. Jamal should have been on better guard, but that's what I think happened watching it back. But I'll say this, man, and it always happens. The strikers we love, if they can't really stop really pure wrestlers, then it's over. And
Mm-hmm.
Ankalaev is very, very dangerous. Although we don't like him, he's kind of a crybaby, and he had a draw with Jan Bohovic. The fact remains that these kind of people like that, if you don't work on it extensively to be able to stop it in a 5 round fight, he will beat you.
Yeah,
The thing with Alex has that a lot of times people don't have, like a Leon Edwards against Bilal Muhammad, Alex can hit you one time and it's over.
yeah,
Leon to me ain't that kind of person. Yes, he knocked out Kumaro with the hit kick. It was perfect. It was like perfect,
yeah,
but like the kind of striking that Alex has, like it legit takes one shot and it's over.
yeah.
So like Ankalaev, you can't be sloppy at all. You have to be perfect and get in there and get him down and hold him there every round. And I think that would be a very tricky fight for Ankalaev. But he could still rounds by just wrestling Alex, and that would be a boring
Yeah.
fight. But I think
But
it's coming next. If Rockets
yeah.
loses, it's coming. So
Well, I think that the big thing here is that everybody needs to. I think we need to watch what the UFC is going to do with Alex because I know that he knows about Magomed. I know that fight's there for him to make. Is Magomed and Rakic fighting, or is it, or is
no, they're
okay?
fighting
That's the fight that's
on Max's card, which is
okay.
loaded, by the way.
Yeah, well, that's a
Loaded. Oh
crazy
my
card.
gosh,
Okay.
it's loaded.
Yeah, I guess I don't know why I was thinking that Jan and Rakic were fighting, but they had already fought in the past. And that's a great fight too. Like I don't think that's an easy fight for Magomed by any means. But I think
Yeah.
that if he goes out there and makes a statement, he's clearly number two or next in line, I should say, because there is no clear like next in line right now. I think that light heavyweights in a better spot than it was with Alex being champion. But I think that we need to really pay attention to what the UFC starts saying about Alex if they're going to start billing him as the heavyweight potential because I think it's there. I think that they might even want to cash in on that money for them. Like if Alex is champion, that money's
That
there
should be
for
his
them.
last fight. That should be his
Yeah,
last fight. Then he shouldn't, because it's a very dangerous fight. That should be like, hey, if I win this, I'm retiring. If I lose, I'm retiring. Because like
yeah,
it's just too risky, man.
yeah.
Way
It's
too
just
risky.
it's yeah, and so it'll be interesting to see where things pan out. Yeah, I think Magomed's next, unless Rakic beats him. Then I think he's first in line to take that. It's a winner fights Alex and probably loses to him, but
Yeah,
regardless, it'll be interesting.
yeah. Last thing about Alex, and then we can move forward to the co-main. That Izzy win starts to look better with time, right?
It really does.
It's going to look better and better over time. If he doesn't lose it ever again, and
Hmm.
Izzy flatlined him like that, like that looks even better. If Izzy's down in the competition between him and their bouts, like to
Hmm.
flatline him like that, and no one's even gotten close to that since like in the UFC, it looks a lot better for Izzy. Obviously, Izzy's been on a losing streak of sorts, but to be the last guy to potentially beat that monster, when you know he was cutting like 60 pounds, not 60, but I'm over exaggerating,
Yeah,
but cutting so much weight to get to 85, and he's that big in there against you. Oh my gosh. And you flatline him. All right. Yeah,
yeah.
you have real power. You have real power too. That's crazy.
It's
But
okay.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Well, and it'll be interesting to see how Izzy changes his fights and then down the road because he said he wants to do more wild stuff. So we'll see. Yeah,
he won Strickland. He won
yeah,
Strickland for sure.
yeah. Well, he's got to hope that he loses to DDP. Uh, so, um, but yeah. So that's the main event. Let's talk co-main event. Man, I fell asleep around of this, and I woke back up, and I was like, "Oh, cool! So nothing's changed," which I realized in retrospect was probably the most important round to not fall asleep in because that was the rounds that mattered. But man, I don't agree with the judges' scorecards. I can get it where you'd be splitting hairs, like trying to see where's what, but like I don't know how they gave Juliana the first two rounds like they did. Like I don't know. I'd sit here and you could clearly tell Juliana was getting outworked in the last two rounds, and I think that like even the last round maybe have been a 10-8. I don't think we need to be scared of those. I think we need to accept those as facts. Um, So I wish the UFC scoring was a little bit better. The scoring in general was pretty wonky that night. So
Yeah,
um,
which has continued to be an issue for years
yeah,
now.
exactly. So I, I I don't have much to say on this fight other than Rocky Pennington will probably be an interesting fight for Kayla Harrison. Obviously, they won't be fighting. She's next in line for the belt, but I think Rocky would probably hold her own more than we give her credit. I definitely don't think Juliana is the best in the division, and I'll even say this further. I think women's bantamweight, that division needs to be burned to the ground. I don't like it. I don't think it's a good division. I don't enjoy watching the fights there. I don't think that, and I'm gonna kind of lead into Kayla and Ketlin's fight. I don't think Kayla is that amazing of a fighter either. I know she's really talented in wrestling, but she got beat up this fight too. And like, if this is the top of the competition here in this division, this is bad. And this is like, Dana White needs to seriously consider, like, do we need to cut this division? Because I know you invested a lot of money into Kayla Harrison. I know Juliana's doing what she can to, spice things up by talking it up. But Juliana also dropped the ball by calling out Amanda Nunes. And like, Amanda's not coming back. Yeah, she looks in great shape. She looks like she could be doing something like for her, for a comeback. But I don't. What's she got to come back for? What draws her back in? Like, to beat these girls again? Okay, I bet. Like, I don't know. Kayla's probably going to end up with the belt because of how poorly Juliana performed. But stranger things have happened in the octagon. That's for sure.
Yeah, I feel like one, this fight was trash. Like I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It was a bad fight. And Raquel Pennington, I'll give you credit. I do think that you probably won this fight in a close decision. It could have even been a split. Honestly, I wouldn't have cared. But like, I think Rocky won. The problem with you, Rocky, is that you just lack enthusiasm in there. It just never seems like you really are on the gas
Hmm.
and doing anything threatening enough. Even if you're landing strikes, it is never. It looks like you're sparring. It looks like you're going through the motions, and I
Yep.
think that's hard for judges to like give you credit for. Like, if I can give Juliana Pena any credit, is like she's like a little pit bull, bro. Like, she kind of will press forward. She will make it, muck it up, and that they'll see that and be like, okay, she's being the aggressor. I don't know if Raquel does enough to make herself look like she's aggressive. She did crack
Hmm.
her one time, cool, but I need more of that. I need more hands let go. I need more leg kicks. She wasn't doing it, and they kept telling her like in her corner, like, use leg kicks, do that. Like, it's just, well, they wasn't telling her that, but like Jordan was talking about, like, why is she not using leg kick? It's been effective, but she wouldn't use it. How is she not able to make in fight decisions? I just feel like she's a part of the very old guard that's not really transformed and gotten better. And it's like, that's why your record is what it is.
Yeah,
And that's why
exactly.
Kayla Harrison dominates y'all, because I mean, not Kayla Harrison, sorry. That's why Amanda Nunes dominates y'all, because she is evolved. She's continued to evolve and get better over the years, and you can tell. And I feel like Juliana, like, going forward, obviously she called out Amanda. Amanda is not coming back for you. Dana White kind of hinted at, he talked to Amanda after that she posted that, and he said that she was like, she's keeping an eye. I think she's keeping an eye to see if Kayla Harrison gets the belt, because there were some talks about that a few years ago. And Amanda said Kayla can't make the weight. That whole thing. They used to be in the same camp at 1.2, I think, right? Were they both at
Hmm.
American Top 10? Yeah.
Hmm.
So it's like, I think that's the one, and she knows that'd probably be a big money fight. But I think that I have a hard time thinking Kayla Harrison beats Juliana Pena. I can't see it. I can't see it, because Caitlin Vieira is not like, she couldn't get Caitlyn down. You're not getting Juliana Pena's around either. And Juliana's gonna punch you in your face. She
Well,
is gonna hit you with her weird punches. She's gonna punch you in her face, bro. In your face. And Caitlyn don't like that. She don't like getting hit.
no, she
She
hates
don't like
getting.
getting hit. She
No,
ain't used to that.
no, because she's used to taking girls down, and she has the threat. If she does take Juliana down, like, there's a
She
chance
talks
she
too
gets
much.
submitted. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a
She
chance she
talks too
gets
much
submitted.
too.
Yeah,
I'm gonna crush her skull and you ain't do nothing. Like
yeah,
that,
no,
that
show.
I think it's like, I get it. You're trying to sell a fight, but like, what it did in turn was, it made people look at you like, oh, you're not that good, because like,
No,
you were talking so crazy, and then you perform like that against somebody who we've seen lose before. If she would have finished her, it'd have been different. But you ain't do that. Like I said last episode, it's like, yeah, you beat Holly Holm, who's like 44. Like, who cares? You beat her, and you did something to her that she's weak at. She's not
yeah,
good on the
she's
ground.
not good. Yeah,
Cool. If you knocked her out, I'd be like, oh, that's crazy. Didn't
Hmm.
happen. So wasn't thoroughly impressed. But I hope Amanda comes back because I would like to see her fight. But this is what I'll say before we move on to the next fight. I like to see them cut 35 and make a 45 division.
Yeah, it's much easier on the women. It's clear that like.
And the pool grows. The pool grows too. There's
Mhm.
women that don't even come to the UFC because they know they can't get to 35. The pool will grow. You may have
Yep,
more talent out
yep,
there if you can do that.
yep. All I gotta say is Pacheco is, I think, smiling at her sort of prospect and standing in women's bantamweight in general. I think she's like, "Yep, I'm a lot better than the rest of these girls," and I think everybody quietly knows it. Outside of Amanda Nunes, I don't think that there's really anybody right now that
But
that seems pretty
but
mirrored.
Pacheco's not a bantamweight. She's a
Yeah, I know
featherweight.
she's
Yeah,
featherweight. Yeah,
yeah.
so but still, I mean, even with that, it's like, yeah, she's smiling. She's still the top dog currently fighting right now. So, and
Yeah,
I'll
she is.
gladly give that to her after the four of those women's fights. It sucked. So, speaking of fights, it sucked. The bantamweight fight between Jose Aldo and Mauro Bautista. Now, let me get on the microphone here for a second. We both picked Mario Bautista, right?
Yeah, we did.
Understand that game is made up of trying to take your opponent down. I understand that that's part of it. Takedowns are a key essential thing. At what point do we have the ref step in and split it up? Like
It's
there was
crazy.
like a man who promised blood and guts was the bloodiest fighter in that fight. The times where Aldo did turn it on, like you could really see. But I have this is actually a bigger criticism to Aldo. I know what I'm about to say. For as many people as defending him and writing him like that he should have won, he should have won, he should have won. I'll be honest with you, Aldo was just as unimpressive as Mario Bautista was, and I think it's his own fault that he didn't try to get off the cage more. Like I
Hmm.
understand you're trying to defend the takedown, I'm trying to, but like it was very unorthodox defending. He wasn't doing anything striking wise, really, that was making any sort of consequential impact. And credit to Mario. He copied and pasted the Marab Dvalishvili game plan with less volume of attempted takedowns. You can hate it for what it is, but like Aldo didn't do his job, and the ref didn't say get off and reset like the one
Yeah,
time, and then he went right back to it. Like
dove right
you
back in
can
there.
yeah, you can fault Mario for making it a boring fight, and like you don't want to see that like ever. Like that's such a terrible fight, but it didn't really make a difference until round three anyway. So like I'm sitting here and I'm like, cool, you got what you paid for. Like,
Yeah, I don't. I don't really have much to say about this fight. I think what you just
yeah,
said, you hit it right on the head. I feel like Aldo didn't do it. He didn't. Aldo clearly didn't do enough. But I think the overarching thing for me was the UFC needs to do a revamping of judging, but also refereeing in certain circumstances. What Herb Dean did to Marab a
hmm,
couple weeks ago, outrageous. What he did not do for to Mario, what they did not do to Mario, was also outrageous. Like we need to find like better standards of what we're looking for in there every single fight, every single ref, every single night. Because yes, Aldo did not do enough to get off the cage, but like Mario also, should he get points for that, or should we be looking at another like Rose Namajunas versus Carla Esparza, where it's like we have to pick somebody kind of situation. But like if we're going by that, Aldo had the better damage delivered in the fight,
right.
but Mario was just hanging
Even
with his
using the
legs on the
scoring
cage, and it's
factor.
like, hey, break that up, bro. Like he can dive back in, that's cool, and that's when I think Aldo needs to do a better job of getting off the cage or throwing knees or something. But he did. He seemed like he was just content with staying against the cage, almost. And he's like, "Well, I'm throwing the damage, so this is cool. We can do this." It's like wrong thing. You need to be the aggressor. You need to make sure you're making efforts to get off the cage. Otherwise, it looks like he's holding you against the cage and you can't get off. So you
A
get what
hundred
you get.
percent. A
You
hundred
get what you
percent.
get.
This is where I'm at with judging, and this for the Mario Bautista fight and Jose Aldo. There needs to be live scoring.
Yep.
Simply put, it needs to because it automatically infuses aggression, it automatically infuses awareness by the fighters, and it automatically infuses more game planning by the corners. We
Yeah.
all want to see that increase. I don't know why there's a hesitancy towards it. I don't know if it's the commissions that have a lack of accountability and you need that agreement across the board, but they should have live scoring like they do in boxing. Like that's a thing that they have. So why are we not doing it? We're not that different of a sport. We know the criteria needs to be honed in on. We've clearly seen the drop off in the referees. Let's do a better job at officiating and judging these fights because it's so inconsistent from one ref to another. I mean, I sit here and I'm not mad at Mario for winning because that's the rules right now. Like it's just where we're at as sport combat sports right now. But I don't want to see that happening, and I feel like I'm starting to see it more and more, and that's concerning for like just entertainment. Like obviously, like, yeah, you want to see who's the best and who can win at what, but you also want to make sure that people we're in an entertainment industry. We're not in an industry where it's supposed to be boring, riding you until you get a decision. Like
Yeah.
that's just not how it should be done. And so I think
Yeah.
that with better scoring, with better clarity on the rules, with better judging, and with better refs, there can be a lot more alignment. I think we're in a unique time where a lot of things are changing in the UFC too, and so I think that there needs to be more changes with that, and I'm hoping that can be the case. So we'll
Yeah.
see. That was just a tough
Um,
fight to watch.
it was. It was. As we transition to other fights in the card, I like to make a suggestion. I say we skip to Kayla Harrison, Caitlin Vieira. We kind of covered that a little bit. Roman Dolidze and Kevin Holland ain't much to cover there
Not
because of
no,
injury. I
yeah,
say we switch it up and we talk about a fight that we did not discuss on the pre-show we did, a prediction show, which is
yeah,
Joaquin Buckley versus Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Because wow, Joaquin Buckley with a big impressive win, and he with an appropriate call out of Kamaru Usman. I love it.
100%.
I love the call out. He called out a former champion. He called out a guy who's on a losing streak himself, who's also still high up in the division, who doesn't have a fight booked and probably won't have one booked. He shot the right shot,
Hmm.
and I hope Kamaru doesn't try to go away from it. But what an impressive win by him! He said he was going to find his shot, and to find it on Wonder Boy, bro,
I mean,
that's a big win. That's a statement win. Um, Even Kevin Holland got beat to pieces by Wonder Boy at old age, and like you see, they met backstage, and he dapped up with him and like gave him his credit.
hmm
What you gonna say? That Joaquin Buckley's putting on a winning streak at 170. He's showing he's in the right division. Finally, he's not with the monsters, and he's strong, man.
yeah,
He
he's a
is
huge guy.
strong.
Yeah.
He's explosive.
Yep, I
He
think
can
he's
he
in the
can
right
mix it up.
time right now. Yeah, I think he's not the best grappler. He's not the best striker even, but it doesn't
Nope.
matter because the dude is clearly hitting his
Facts.
stride right now. And the thing he needed was confidence. And when he did that crazy ninja knockout for knockout of the year a couple of years ago, I was like, this kid is clearly special. Like you don't just do that and not not have talent. But are you the flash in the pan or are you good? And then he kind of went back and forth. And during that time, I remember specifically I was listening to him on Joe Rogan's podcast. It was last year, and he was like, "I just signed a new contract. I'm good. I know I'm good. I'm gonna win. I'm gonna start winning. I'm gonna start winning." And that's what happened.
Yep.
He found a way to win, and it was a little bumpy, but then. He's found his strong footing in 170. And yeah, to find that shot on Wonderboy is huge. I will counter that and say Wonderboy's in his 40s.
He
Wonderboy
is.
has clearly gotten older. The step is gone, but he was winning the fight. Like he was clearly winning that fight.
My rebuttal to you would be, even at Wonder Boy's old age, I would say he's still the best striker in that division.
That's fair. That's
Best footwork, best striker in the division. Best
mhm.
with range management.
Yeah,
He's still the best. It's
yeah,
insane. Like most people can't. Like if you put Leon Edwards in there with him, Leon couldn't hit him either. Really, he's just hard to hit. Like
hmm
so, it's like you need a to catch him. You need to catch him with something like that, unorthodox, where you like spring in there and just throw it at him. Because like if you're trying to technically box him or like
no.
kickbox
Good
him,
luck.
good luck hitting him. Because Kevin Holland's pretty good at that. He couldn't hit him. Like
No, couldn't
I
get
like to
one
see
even
Wonder Boy.
close.
Give me Wonder Boy versus MVP
Yeah,
against Michael Venom Page.
and I think they're
Let's
trying. They'll definitely
let's
try to
do
book
it.
that. Yeah, that's
Let's
a
do
great
it.
fight, and I think that
Let's do
that's
it.
the retirement fight for him for Wonder Boy. I think he talked about it in some interviews. Like I'll retire when my dad says I think he thinks he's ready to retire. He's like I still feel good, and like You didn't look good after you get flatline like that. Like
Nah,
nothing's
at
good.
that age, getting knocked out like that's not a great thing. So
But I don't want to take away from the fact that Buckley not only showed up in a great way, huge win, but who would have expected he would have been the best on the mic that night too? Like
right,
he had a horrible call out a few weeks ago or a
Kamaru.
few fights ago, yeah, where he calling out Connor and like all this stuff. I was like, okay, so clearly we can't give you a microphone. But then he calls out Kamaru like, yes, this is the best call out you could have made because everybody else is booked or really you shouldn't be fighting them right now. And I think that if he wins against Kamaru, I mean, we're talking title shot pretty much after that. So, I mean, it's tough to put a win streak together in welterweight. So it'd be really interesting to see because that's a matchup I don't think that's highly favorable to Kamaru as older as he's got. I think that's a
Yeah,
tough fight.
yeah, that hurts to say, but
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, Father Time comes for us all, even our favorite fighters. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out if they do book it. Kamara's
yeah.
not really actively talking to anybody either, which is
Well,
interesting.
he's training. He's training. Something's coming.
Yeah,
Something's coming. Yeah,
yeah,
it's either it's either title fight or it's going to be what's his name, JDM. His name.
Jack Della Maddalena.
That's what I think's coming. I think one of those are coming, and I'm sure it'll be announced. Probably, I think it may even be announced at the Max Holloway card because he's been in the gym a lot, and
Yeah.
that tells me he's ramping up to something. So, uh, don't be surprised if he
Well,
fights early next
it,
year, February.
yeah, and Jack, he's that's not an easy fight for Kamaru if that's the case, because like we're talking about good
He's good.
strikers in the UFC,
He's good.
like
He's
so.
good.
I mean, yeah, he's back from the arm surgery, so I think that yeah, I think he's back. Yeah, so yeah, I'll be interested to see how that works. That would be a great fight too to see booked. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's anything rumored with him either. So, um, yeah, we'll put a finer point on that for the show for the recap of the card. Thanks for calling out the past the boring fights and into the good ones. But I think
Yeah.
we said what we could have said about the others through the Mario Bautista so Jose Aldo fight. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, thanks for joining us today, Tyrell. It was great to chat with you about the good old UFC 307, and we'll catch you guys next time for big pay per views. Peace.
Peace.